Have you ever had that strange feeling? Like you've been somewhere before, but you can't quite place where? A dream? A childhood memory? Or maybe something else? Imagine suddenly finding yourself trapped in a place that feels eerily familiar, yet deeply, profoundly wrong. A space that stretches infinitely, is ever-changing, and is home to your worst nightmares. I'm sure by now, as well as by the title of this video, you know that I'm speaking about the Backrooms. What started as an internet phenomenon and creepypasta has turned into hundreds, if not thousands of games. Out of all the Backroom-style horror games, one stands out among the rest. From the incredible visuals to the terrifying entities or the eerie sound design, this game is a cut above. Today, we are going to be looking into Backrooms Escape Together and how it has elevated this niche horror genre. But first, let's take a look into the history and lore of the Backrooms. The lore of the Backrooms is mysterious, fragmented, and evolving. The true beginning of the Backrooms is well argued online. However, it's most likely from a post made on May 12, 2019, where a 4chan user posted this image on the X board, used specifically for paranormal-related postings with the caption, "Post disquieting images that just feel off." There was a creepypasta written shortly after this posting, and from there it has grown into its own universe. The core concept of the Backrooms is pretty simple. It's a vast labyrinth space that exists outside of our reality. The Backrooms have various levels, most notably the endless maze of yellowish, dimly lit office-looking rooms, like a nightmare version of a nondescript office building. These rooms have low ceilings, stained carpets, and beating fluorescent lights, creating an uncanny, eerily familiar atmosphere. Nothing about it seems normal, but nothing is immediately threatening either, which makes it all the more unsettling. The only way to enter into the Backrooms is to no-clip out of reality by some strange accident or supernatural means. What started with just the first level has evolved to include several different levels, each with its own unique environment, rules, and dangers. The deeper you go, the more twisted, dangerous, and surreal things become. We will save the explanation of levels until later, as Backrooms Escape Together has done an incredible job faithfully recreating and expanding upon the most commonly known levels. The Backrooms levels have various danger classes going from 0 to 8 to exclamation mark, each increasing in danger. Class 0 is no danger, Class 1 is safe, Class 2 is low safety, Class 3 is unsafe, Class 4 is highly unsafe, Class 5 is extremely unsafe, Class 6 is dangerous, Class 7 is highly dangerous, Class 8 is extremely dangerous, and Class exclamation mark is defined only as dreadful. The class exclamation mark description reads, "Standing still means death. You will never be safe." We will be utilizing these descriptions later on when we look at each individual level of the game. The danger in the Backrooms doesn't just come from the long, stretching labyrinth of hallways, however. It comes from the entities that are lurking in the shadows. Terrifying monsters that vary from mutant humanoids to straight-up weird bacteria-looking things. Each entity has its own set of behaviors, aggression levels, and strategies for us on how to survive them. However, your first encounter with most entities will be enough to get the adrenaline pumping. Now that we have a better understanding of the history and lore, let's take a closer look at how this game utilizes the Backrooms setting nearly perfectly. Backrooms Escape Together has 6 core elements that make this game so incredible, including the unique multiplayer element, immersive atmosphere, procedurally generated levels, the entities, puzzle elements / survival, and finally, level design. Number 1, the unique multiplayer element. At its core, Escape Together isn't just a typical horror game where you're trying to survive on your own. It's a cooperative survival experience. You and your friends are thrown into the Backrooms, and the goal isn't just to survive individually, but to work together to find an escape. On top of this, the game utilizes proximity chat for a more immersive experience. You can only hear your friends when they are closer to you. Splitting up may result in finding an escape faster, but you run the risk of waiting for someone who very well may already be dead. If you're wondering why all the game clips in this video don't have any companions, it's because I simply don't have any friends. Just kidding, shout out G-Clove and Moki Doki for all your help along the way. Number 2, immersive atmosphere. The Backrooms mythos is all about creating a feeling of dread through banality. The idea that something so ordinary like office spaces, pool rooms, or endless hallways can become a source of terrifying unease. The game nails this atmosphere, making it feel like you've stumbled into a strange dimension that's both so familiar and alien. The graphics in this game are absolutely incredible. The high-quality textures truly immerse the player in each level. I've been playing video games for over a decade now, and I feel as though the graphics on the pool level still are better than most other games that I've played, leading to a strong feeling of nostalgia. One of the ways that Backrooms-style horror, and specifically Escape Together, is so effective is through the use of this nostalgia. What nostalgia is a complex emotional experience that involves longing or affection for the past, often accompanied by a sense of warmth, comfort, or melancholy. It's the feeling we get when we reflect on a time, place, or experience that we associate with happiness or simplicity, often from our own personal history. While it's typically seen as a positive, bittersweet emotion, it can also have elements of sadness because it's tied to things that are no longer present or attainable. There are a few levels of this game that evoke really strong feelings of nostalgia in a way that struck me deep to my core. I've not often found games that leave me with a lasting emotion, much less as strong as the final level of this game did for me. Number 3, procedurally generated levels. One of the most compelling aspects of Escape Together is its use of procedural generation. The levels of the Backrooms are randomly generated, so no two playthroughs are going to be the same. Every time you and your team venture into the Backrooms, the layout and configuration of the hallways, rooms, and hidden paths change. It adds that crucial element of not knowing what's around the corner. You can explore the same environment several times, but it never feels like you're in the same place twice. Number 4, the entities. Horror games often rely on creatures to heighten the fear, and Escape Together does this brilliantly. The Backrooms are home to strange, hostile entities that make the game feel like a constant living nightmare. You'll encounter different types of creatures and monsters as you venture deeper into the Backrooms. Some are passive, while others are actively hunting you. Whether it's an entity that hides in the shadows, an aggressive, clawing creature that stalks your every move, or a more subtle psychological threat, each entity adds to the unease. The fear of what might be lurking around the corner, just out of sight, is a core part of this game's horror factor. Number 15, Burger King foot lettuce. Just kidding, this is going to be number 5, puzzle elements and survival. In addition to the creepy atmosphere and the hostile creatures, Escape Together challenges players with puzzles and survival mechanics that add depth to the game. Many of the levels aren't just about finding an exit, but rather solving different puzzles, discovering codes, and staying sane to delve deeper into the levels. And finally, number 6, level design. At this point, we are going to be doing a deep dive into each level, its layout, its escape routes, its entities, and its danger ranking, so if you don't want any spoilers, please feel free to skip to the conclusion of the video. Level 0 is going to be the first level that players enter upon booting up the game. This is the most commonly referred to Backrooms level, being the yellowish, mundane spaces. The player has a few common objectives to complete this level, including finding VHS tapes scattered around the massive area, using the camera feature to capture footage of the entities, surviving through blackouts, etc. The two entities that can be found on this level are bacteria and smilers, both of which pose a risk to the player. While bacteria can be found roaming the level with the lights on, smilers only come out during a blackout and will disappear once the blackout ends. After you complete all required tasks, you can take the elevator that you arrived in down to level 0.11, which is still technically a part of this level. Once on this level, you must follow the caution tape to find the glitchy floor or the no-clip floor and fall into it to progress to the next level. This entire level is ranked as a Class 5, or extremely unsafe. Level 1, or the second level of the game, is known as the Habitable Zone, which looks to be a large parking structure or industrial-type building. It's an endless maze of drab concrete with small storage rooms that provide temporary safety and shelter from the entities that lurk in the darkness. Level 1 is ranked as a Class 4, as there is something following you in the dark. The entity on level 1 is known as a skin stealer, a large humanoid bird-deer thing that chases you down and I presume steals your skin. The skin stealer is deterred by light, so the player can utilize the well-lit storage rooms or their flashlight to scare them off. This level also contains blackouts where the skin stealers thrive, coming after the player from several directions. To complete this level, the player has to repair 5 generators that are scattered across the massive playable area. Once all repairs are completed, you will have to return through the door that you initially entered through to progress to the next level. Level 2, or the third level that the player enters, is known as Pipe Dreams. It's a set of maintenance corridors that require the player to open valves in corresponding hallways. There are 3 hallways in this level, known as Hallway C, B, and G. Once each of the 3 valves is open, a number will appear above the door of the corresponding hallway, which will then need to be input on 3 more valves opening the large pneumatic door. This level is ranked as a Class 5, as there is a very dangerous entity known as the Scratcher. The Scratcher is a large monster that is completely blind, utilizing sound to locate the player to eat you alive. The Scratcher is extremely fast and will hear you if you run, whistle, or speak loudly with the proximity chat activated. You cannot outrun a Scratcher, and your only hope of survival is if you are detected to hide in one of the conveniently placed lockers around the level. Once the pneumatic door has been opened, the player can walk through to progress to the next level. Level 4 is the 4th level that players go to, and I know that the naming of these levels is very unconventional and confusing at this point, but it is known as the Abandoned Office. It's a large expanse of office cubicles and hallways in a never-ending high-rise. For the first time since the start of the game, you have now entered a relatively safe level, ranked at a Class 1. There are no entities chasing you around. However, what this level lacks in danger, it makes up for in size. According to the wiki, Smilers are active on this level, but I've personally never encountered them, so I'm going to pretend like I didn't read that. This level does feel absolutely massive, and completing the objective can feel like finding a needle in the haystack. Speaking of objectives, the player is tasked with finding 4 monitors randomly placed around the level, with a number displayed on a background color. These 4 color number combinations result in a code that must be input on the electrical closet door, leading you to the next level. Level 4 is one of my personal favorites, as it really doesn't rely on entities to generate the fear factor. It's just a genuinely terrifying, abandoned atmosphere that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Level 6 is the 5th level that the player goes to in the game, and we are back to the incredibly confusing nomenclature. This level is known as Lights Out, and it's an entirely pitch black level where the player utilizes a LiDAR scanner to map out the rooms. The player is tasked with following 3 red tapes or wires on the ground to reveal 3 red buttons. Once all 3 buttons are pressed, a pneumatic door will open, leading to the second section of the level. The player now has to find 3 corresponding blue buttons at the end of blue tapes or wires, which leads to 3 corresponding statues being lowered at the entrance of the second section of the level. Also, at the entrance of this second section of the level, there are 3 colored doors with images of entities above each door. The player must enter the door that corresponds to the correct cage color and statue, and follow the sound of running water to make it to safety. If you choose the wrong door, death will be waiting for you. Also, this level is probably the hardest thing to explain without sounding like you're absolutely insane or not making any sense. In this level, the player does have to worry about an entity called the Stalker. This entity does not kill the player, but rather if it is scanned, all of the previously scanned LiDAR mapping will disappear. The wiki states, after further research, it was found that this isn't an entity, but an error caused when the LiDAR scanner fails to generate the correct structure. The only way the player can die is by falling in one of the several holes in the ground, causing the level to restart from the very beginning if dead. For this reason, the level has been ranked as a Class 3. However, I disagree since the entity being scanned looks exactly like some sort of humanoid creature. Once the player does find the hole corresponding to the sound of running water, the player will fall into it to progress to the next level. Level 37, or the 6th level of the game, is one of the absolute best levels in this entire game, and it utilizes pure atmosphere to be terrifying. This level is known as the Pool Rooms. With no entities and no threats, this level has been ranked as a Class 0. However, with the dead silence surrounding you and the only noise in the entire level being the sloshing of water under your feet, it feels so incredibly scary. This level also evokes feelings of strong familiarity, nostalgia, despair, and dread for me. When I first played Escape together, I joined with my brother and his friend on this level and was immediately hooked. The graphical quality on this level is unmatched, and it's also one of the most cinematic levels I have seen out of any video game. To complete this level, all you need to do is find the exit staircase leading up out of the water. This is no small task, however, as the level is absolutely massive with uncanny architecture, leading the player to get lost in this three-dimensional maze. Once the exit staircase is found, there is a final puzzle to progress to the next level. There are 3 colored valves resembling an analog clock and several colored dots on the wall. You have to count the amount of dots per color and turn the valve to match what that number value would be on an analog clock. According to the wiki, if this puzzle isn't completed in time, water will start to rise up, killing the player and forcing a restart of the level. However, I feel like I've taken my sweet time and haven't had this occur to me. Contrary to this level, the following level is the most dangerous in the entire game. Level exclamation point, also known as level run, is the 7th level that the player encounters in the game. Level run is an adrenaline rush. It's a Red Bull and a kick to the balls all in the same package. You only have one objective: to run. You are being chased through the hallways of an abandoned, dilapidated hospital by a Scratcher, the same blind entity that is found on level 2. However, because you are forced to run, it knows where you are at all times. The hospital corridors resemble a maze, with misleading hallways leading you to dead ends and ultimately your death. The only marker of a safe haven are the red glowing exit signs on the ceiling. There are 2 safe zones found in this level, located behind metal doors where the player must close them by pressing a button. Once the metal door is closed, the player then has to find a blue keycard to open the next area of the level. When the blue keycard is swiped, however, both metal doors will open and the Scratcher will be chasing you again. These metal doors cannot be closed indefinitely. After a very short amount of time, they will open, so you do have to work relatively quickly. Due to the maximal danger of this level, it has been given the exclamation mark class ranking. Once the player makes it through both safe rooms and they come upon the exit door, they will break through, revealing this. This level is known as Level Fun, and it is the final currently available level in the game. It is the culmination of every great level into one grand finale. The visuals are about as close to perfect as it gets. The entity is quite literally one of the scariest I have ever seen, and it behaves rather erratically. The audio design is spectacular, and the feeling that this level evokes in me personally is kind of alarming. Level Fun takes place in what appears to be a children's arcade/party room. It's like the ultimate liminal nostalgia core arcade vibe, and it completely makes me feel this dreadful longing to be a kid again. Without the worries of adult life, it brings me back emotionally to a time that was so much easier to navigate. That's enough of me being oversensitive about a video game, though. In this level, you need to earn 1,500 tickets to complete it. The player earns tickets by completing a longer series of steps than in any other level. First, you have your choice of pick of no-clip portals in the floor. Once you fall through the portal, you must finish a jumping parkour course and fall into the hole in the ground at the very end. This will drop you into the party room section of the level, the only section where the player will be in danger. To escape, you must find one door in a maze of hundreds, but this one door has arrows drawn on it. To open the doors, the player will need to use coins that are found scattered throughout the party room section of the level. However, there is also a hostile entity known as the partygoer following you around. He will initially be non-hostile until either a blackout occurs or if the player stares at him for too long. Once he turns hostile, he is one of the most aggressive entities in the game. After finding the correct door, another no-clip portal will be found inside. The player will fall through the no-clip portal, finding yourself in a game of red light, green light in another children's play structure similar to the parkour course. Moving during a red light will result in a reduction of tickets earned at the end of the game, and the player has to find yet another hole at the end of the red light, green light game. Once the player falls through this hole, you will return back to the spawn area in the bouncy castle, and you will earn a number of tickets. You will now rinse and repeat until your total is 1,500 or more tickets, leading to the final door being opened and the game concluding, for now at least. All in all, Backrooms Escape Together is one of the absolute best backroom-style horror games that is available currently. I personally think that this game is my favorite horror game of all time at the moment, especially considering that this game is in ongoing development and new additions are still being added on. This game has a ton of potential to grow in the future. But I'd like to know more about what you think of the game. Have you had a chance to play it? Did you enjoy it? Do you hold it in as high of a regard as I do? Please let me know down in the comments below. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, you are a real one. I genuinely appreciate your time and attention and have big hopes on new videos to make in the future. If you'd like to stick along for the ride, please consider subscribing here and following me over on Twitch to catch me playing some games live. Have a great rest of your day, and for the love of God, please don't find yourself stuck in the backrooms.